If you're a parent trying to keep your kids safe online, well, it can feel like a totally impossible task. But it really doesn't have to be. So today, we're going to break down a simple, actionable framework from Dr. Mack Jackson Jr. that will help you protect your family in this digital world. This quote just hits the nail on the head. The dangers we grew up with were different, right? Today's risks are totally silent and invisible. They just sneak right past all the locks and alarms and go straight to our kids on the very devices we give them.
And that's the big question, isn't it? Our kids' lives are happening online. Everything from schoolwork to their friendships. We hand them a phone to stay in touch, to keep them safe, but that very connection can open a door to all new kinds of risks. And we're here to give you the tools to help you close that door.
Okay, so first things first, we have to get our heads around this huge shift. For our kids, there's just no difference between online life and real life. It's all just life. The internet isn't just a place they visit. It's their community, it's their playground. It's where they're figuring out who they are. This is so important. This isn't about blaming your kid. A child can stumble into danger without looking for it at all, just by being online. So our job as parents isn't to get mad at them for this. It's to be their guide and help them navigate it safely.
So what exactly are we talking about here? What are the real dangers we're trying to protect them from? Let's break down the 3 biggest threats that every parent needs to be aware of right now. We've all heard the term cyberbullying, but what makes it so awful is that it's relentless. There's no escape. The school bell doesn't save you, it just follows them home, into their bedroom, on group chats and social media, around the clock. And this example from a real case just shows how incredibly personal and cruel it can get. A classmate got jealous, and it turned into this whole campaign of digital harassment. It wasn't just mean words, it was public humiliation for everyone to see and share. Now this next threat, sextortion, it's one of the fastest growing crimes against kids online. It all starts with deception. A predator pretends to be a friend, they build trust, and then they flip the script and use blackmail to exploit them. It is an absolutely terrifying trap. Just look at the pressure in this real-world example. It's not just about the shame, it's straight-up financial blackmail. These predators create this intense panic, threatening to blow up a kid's entire social world if they don't pay up. You can see why so many kids are just too terrified to tell anyone.
And finally, online predators. The key thing to understand here is their main tactic. It's called grooming. They don't start with scary threats. No, they start by being a friend. They learn about your kids' hobbies, they offer support, and they slowly build this emotional connection to gain their trust. And here it is. This is the classic move. Once that trust is built, the predator's next step is to isolate the child. That phrase, "they wouldn't understand," that's a massive red flag. It's a calculated move to drive a wedge between a child and the very people who can protect them. Okay, those threats are really serious, but knowing about them is the first step. So the next question is, how do you even spot the signs? Because so many kids are too afraid to say anything, we have to learn to read the clues they show us with their actions. And that brings us to the warning signs. Really, it's all about being observant. You know your child better than anyone. So a sudden shift in their behavior is often a major signal that something's wrong in their digital world, even if they're not talking about it. Now remember, seeing any single one of these signs isn't necessarily proof of a big problem. The real red flag to look for is a pattern. If you suddenly notice a combo of 2 or 3 of these changes happening at once, that's your cue to gently start a conversation. All right, we get the threats and we know the warning signs to look for. Now we get to the most important part, the solution. This is not about being scared, it's about feeling empowered. So here's a simple 3-step plan you can use to build a real fortress of safety for your family. It's really that straightforward. Talk, tools, and boundaries. Think of them like 3 legs on a stool. They all work together to create a culture of safety and, most importantly, trust in your home. Let's dig into how you can put each one into practice. The first step is talking, but you don't have to launch some big interrogation. Just use these kinds of low-pressure questions. They're about being curious, not about being controlling. They open the door and make digital safety just a normal topic of conversation, like talking about school or their friends. Next up, use the tools you have. Technology isn't the enemy here. It can actually be a huge part of the solution. Your phone already has free built-in controls that are great for setting basic limits. But if you want more proactive monitoring for things like bullying or sextortion,
Some of those third-party apps can give you a really crucial extra layer of security. And finally, set some boundaries. Seriously, if you only do one thing after hearing all of this, make it this one. Set up a central charging station in the kitchen or the living room. It is a total game changer. Nighttime is when kids are most alone and vulnerable, and this one simple rule makes a massive difference. And this is really the big takeaway. You don't have to be a tech wizard. You don't have to know every single app and trend. Your greatest superpower here isn't your tech knowledge, it's just your presence in your child's life. Being engaged and willing to have these conversations is way more powerful than any filter or software you could ever install.
So, in the end, the best defense you have starts with one simple conversation. That's what builds the trust that will make your child come to you if they're ever in trouble. So, the only question left is, when are you going to start yours?